but I can't scoop. Ginger rides in the Benz in the coupe. I swear I'm blocking these hoes like I hoop. Ice on my wrist, they droop. Chicks for me, but I can't scoop. Ginger rides in the Benz in the coupe. I swear I'm blocking these hoes like I hoop. Hey,
what's up, guys? It's Mr. iPod coming in with a little young wicked for this recap lesson of 4.5. Hey, so let's just get right into this. We kind of discussed this in class today. Our time kind of limited us a little bit. I'm going to shoot in front of you the notes from today, just in case you weren't here, you didn't get those. You can pause the screen right now, and obviously you can kind of get those down if you didn't get them. This is a 7-step process. Obviously 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7's over here to the right. These are tedious steps, but these steps will ensure that you are doing the problem correctly. So let's just go ahead and jump right into it. All right, so I'm going to do number 2. Starting with number 2, let me zoom in just a little bit. Starting with number 2, my very first step, and if you're reading those steps, if you pause it and written them down, or if you have them right there with you, the very first step is to make sure the equation is in slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. Right here we have this in y equals negative 7x plus 5, which would therefore justify y equals mx plus b. All right, that's our first step. Make sure it's in this format, the format it's in. All the ones on this homework, the 1 through 6, is your they're all in slope-intercept form. So if I'm looking at this, my second step, is to determine if the slope is positive or negative. And how you do that, you're just going to look directly right here at this sign right here that's to the left of x. If it's positive, then you're going to have a positive slope. But if it's negative, it's going to be a negative slope. Obviously, right here it's going to be negative. So we're going to say negative. We draw a negative sign, and that means that it's going to be a line that goes down from left to right. So we say a line that goes down. We start with this and we'll end with this. This is probably one of the most important aspects of this graph, is to make sure that we have it graphed correctly. Now our third step is to determine the slope, or m. We know that slope is right now m in the m spot. We know y equals mx plus b. So in the m spot is negative 7. Now I told you this, always write your slope as a fraction. So come to the side and say m equals negative 7, but I need to write it as a fraction, so I'll put it over 1. So negative 7 over 1. Your next step, and I may have kind of told these backwards with you, depending on the class, but just from here, I would say go ahead and direct your slope. So your slope, remember, it's change in y over the change in x. So slope is, how does it change vertically? How does it change horizontally? Well, negative 7 would mean negative being down, so this is, you would go down 7. So down 7. And then a positive 1 on the x-axis would take you to the right 1. So just like we worked before on slope, it's the change in the y. So this number, the numerator, represents how does it change vertically. So it's going to go down 7 since it's negative. This represents how is it going to change horizontally. It's positive 1, so you go right 1. Now we look at the opposite of that, just in case we don't have room on the graph to graph it. So we say the opposite of this is up 7, the opposite of down 7 is up 7, and the opposite of right 1 is left 1. Okay, those will come in handy, especially, everything really depends on your graph and how it kind of works out. From there, your fifth step is to determine the y-intercept. So b, well, in the b spot right here, the b spot is positive 5. So we're going to say b equals 5. Then from there, we know b equals 5, so we need to plot, their sixth step, plot the y-intercept and follow the slope directions. So plot the y-intercept is 5, so you need to put a point right here at positive 5. Why is it positive 5? Right here is plus 5, and on the y-axis, this right here is positive 5. Then from there, let's follow our slope. Our slope direction is down 7, right 1. So from this point, I'm going to go down 7 and right 1 and make another point. So I'll go down 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and go right 1. Put a point. Now, obviously, on this graph, you're going to be able to tell that I'm not going 1, 2, 3. I wouldn't be able to go 7. I'd be off the graph. And I obviously couldn't go the opposite way of up 7 because that would take me off the graph. So this is the only amount of points I can take. So I'm going to get my straight edge. Make sure you use a straight edge. And we're going to do a one solid line. We put arrows. And then we come to our seventh step. Label the line. So the label of the line is y equals negative 7x plus 5. We graph the line. We label the line. And we check. So we said in the beginning this is a negative slope, so it should be going down. Is this going down from left to right? Yes, it is. So there is our answer. You don't have to circle anything because the line is really the answer we're looking for, or a test would be looking for. Okay. Hope that helps you. Now let's look at number 6, and then from 6 I'll let you kind of loose since I only assigned you 1 through 6 tonight, and you'll get more practice with me one-on-one. So looking at number 6, y equals x plus 4. So again, follow the steps I'm telling you. These steps right here, I just followed every single one of them. If you were to go back and listen to it, I followed every single step that I told you today in class. Again, if you need to pause it, kind of look at those steps, even write them down somewhere else. It's completely up to you. These steps will ensure that you're not making simple mistakes, because although this does seem pretty simple and basic for some of you, or for many of you, just keep in mind that these steps will prevent you from making careless errors. Okay, all right, the very first step is to make sure your equation is in slope-intercept form. Y equals x plus 4, that is slope-intercept form. And then the next one is to determine whether the slope is positive or negative. That's the second step. Well, if I'm looking at this, keep in mind this is y equals mx plus b. Now keep in mind there is no coefficient right now in front of the x. So when there's no coefficient, we know there is a coefficient of 1. Okay? So what we're trying to determine, is this positive or negative? Well, obviously since there's no negative sign, it has to be positive, which means that this is going to be a line that goes up from left to right. Okay? A line that goes up from left to right. So then from there, your third step is to determine the slope, m, and write it as a fraction. So we've determined since there is no coefficient in front of x, we know that there is a 1 in front of x, because if it's ax, it's 1x. Okay? So our m is 1. But we need to write it as a fraction, so we say 1 over 1. Okay? Then from there, your fourth step is to direct the slope. So I'm going to direct the slope remember, it's change in the y over change in x. So vertical change over horizontal change. Well, a positive 1 would go up 1, and a positive and right 1 would give you, a positive 1 on the horizontal axis would make you go right 1. Now, of course, we know how to do the opposite. You just have to write the opposite. That's along with your fourth step. Write the opposite. Up 1, right 1 would be the opposite of up 1, right 1 would be down 1. Left 1. Okay. From there, determine the y-intercept. Remember, the y-intercept is always this right here. Okay. I didn't work one that has a negative, but you still should be able to figure that out. Put it in the negative, then follow those steps. So the b is positive 4. So we're going to say b is positive 4. Our sixth step is to plot the y-intercept and follow the slope direction. So let's plot this y-intercept. Again, guys, this b is always going to be on this y-axis right here. So wherever this is on that y-axis, that's where you need to put a point. Don't get confused with this. B deals with B, which is the y-intercept, deals on the y-axis, because keep in mind, y-intercept, where does it intersect the y-axis? It's going to intersect it at 4. Now we're going to follow the directions of our slope. Our slope is this, up 1, right 1. So let's go up 1, right 1. So up 1, right 1, put a point. Up 1, right 1, put a point. Now, the opposite, obviously we can't go any further, so we could draw a line here, but I'm going to tell you, the more points you have, the better accuracy your line will be. So I'm going to go the opposite way, down 1, left 1. Down 1, left 1. So I'm just following the opposite, down 1, left 1, down 1, left 1, down 1, left 1, down 1, left 1. And then from there, obviously my line is going to be a lot more accurate than if I just made those 3 points from the beginning. So bear with me. Got my straight line. So I graph my line. I label my line y equals x plus 4, and then I check. I said it was a positive line that goes up. So check mark. I'm good to go. It looks like I forgot. It looks like I didn't do the check mark on number 2, so make sure you always do that check mark. So then there's number 6. Just make sure you do that check mark. Okay. Guys, this is basically, if you need help, feel free to see me in the morning. I'll be in the hallway on duty, so make sure you see me then. Hey, hope you have a good night.